everyone, welcome back for episode number 155 of the weekly playback. I played a lot of games in the last week, but I'm not sure how many I'll get through because I'm in quite a bit of pain today. So as I mentioned in last week's video, I had surgery done on August 6th, and I think I underestimated the amount of time it would take for me to get better. But also getting food poisoning on Friday did not help. So I had a hysterectomy done, and that's an abdominal surgery, and the doctor said to make sure that no pressure is put on my abdominal area, which is why I can't like lift things heavier than 5 to 10 pounds for 2 months at least. I can't, like, I've been told to take stool softeners, every day. There's just, you just have to take care of your abdominal area after a surgery like that, because you want the stitches to heal properly, the internal stitches as well as the outside stitches, but internal stitches because you after having a uterus and fallopian tubes removed, the doctor explained to me that they had to do like some kind of internal stitches as well to like make sure things stay in place, but you can look all of that up if you want to. But then I got food poisoning Friday night, and that was not fun, and I vomited a number of times, and I absolutely hate vomiting. Not that anyone actually enjoys it or likes it, but I hate it so much, and it caused so much pain. And since Friday, the pain in my abdominal region has been worse than before. Like, I thought I was starting to get better, and now it hurts more, and I'm just kind of like, ugh. Yeah, so, and then I have a cough, and every time I cough it hurts my abdominal region. So but again, what I'm going through is nothing compared to what the Palestinians are going through, and I probably should not even mention it, because it's like, why am I mentioning these abdominal pains when Palestinians are going through so much worse? The reason being also because I went back to work on Monday, and work was really busy, and I didn't get to do my nonfiction reading yet. I did do my fiction reading, but I didn't do my nonfiction reading yet. But also there was a friend's birthday party on Saturday that I really wanted to go to and be there for, because he's a good friend, and so that was on Saturday, and that was an all-day game day. So, there was different things that just kind of took up my time, and yes, I'm terrible, I know, but I did not do my nonfiction reading. And because of the pain that I'm feeling right now, I don't know how much of the stuff I'll get through today. Like, again, I've played a lot of games in the last week, because I had my Monday night game night with a few friends, and then I had my typical Friday night game night, and then my friend's all-day game day on Saturday. So so we'll see how much I get through today. So I ask for your forgiveness for not having done the nonfiction reading again, but I'll, mention it again in the nonfiction section and remind people what chapter we're supposed to read. But yeah, so that is my rambling. Oh, I guess I'll just add something else that people probably don't care about. My bangs are still a mess. But I've made an appointment to get my hair cut, because my hair has gotten quite long, and I hate long hair. So that's why I just keep pushing it back. And I figured, since I have an appointment to get my hair cut on the 27th or something like that anyway, I'll just let these bangs grow out and let the stylist take care of the bangs at the same time. So yeah, so the hair is just gonna look like this until that happens. So anyway, so let's just get started. Let's talk about Moon Bunny. Moon Bunny is a 2025 game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Pauline Kong and Marie Wong, and the art is done by Serene Chan, and it's published by Hot Banana Games. This is a copy I purchased. Someone had brought this game to an all-day game day, and I really enjoyed my play of it, and I was like, I really, really love this. So I went to my local game store and bought it, because that's where the person had bought their copy as well, and I had a shit ton of store credit to use, which covered the cost of the game, which was really nice. So this is a tableau building and tile placement and grid movement, not tableau building, tile placement and grid movement game. So I'm just going to read the short premise. It says, hop around the moon, collect ingredients, and craft the ultimate elixir of life. So you're just a bunny on the moon with other bunnies on the moon trying to collect ingredients. I'm going to throw up a picture of what the moon looks like with all of the ingredients laid out. And you're going to start with 4 recipe tiles also placed on the moon. This box is really cool, by the way. The inside slides out. So this looks like a slip case, but it's actually just the entire case actually I think it is still a slip case. So you could slide the cover out of this, but anyway. So you're going to have a main board, which is the moon, which looks like this. And it's really nice because it's dual layered. So the tiles stay in place, which I absolutely love because there's so many tiles and it makes it look really nice for pictures. You know, you're not going to have tiles that are like crooked and stuff. So that is really nice. And then it's dual layered on both sides for the player count that you're going to play with. Apologies. So that's that. Then you're going to have a board, and on this board are going to be some public objectives that you're trying to meet, and there's going to be some special scroll tiles which you can obtain throughout the game, and when we get to that I'll talk about what those scroll tiles are and how they work. And you're going to put 4 of your bunnies here, and each person is going, one bunny per person. So each person will place one of their bunnies there, and everyone starts with a bunny on the moon. So the bunny you're going to place onto this board, and I'll explain how you get that bunny if you want to swap bunnies later, is this one. So you're going to place the bunny that allows you to move any number of spaces in a straight direction, either horizontal or vertical from where you are. And the bunny you're going to start with is this one, the one that allows you to move up to 3 spaces, but it doesn't have to be in a straight line. But however, when you move, you cannot end up on a spot that you started on or that you are adjacent, and you can't end up on a spot adjacent to the space that you started on. So let me just show you the other bunnies because they're really nice. They all look a little bit different. And these are the deluxe pieces. It also did come out with cardboard cutout standees, punch board standees, but I just tucked those underneath. So I didn't even punch them out, and I just tucked that punch board underneath the insert. So those are the bunnies. And then you're also going to have these moon cakes that you can earn, and we'll talk about how you get them and how you spend them. And then each person will have a play raid, and then there's a bunch of cards, which I'm assuming are for solo mode because we actually didn't use them when we played. And then you have this bag in which you're going to put ingredient tiles. And then you're going to have a stack of recipe tiles face up. So you're going to put out 4 recipe tiles onto the moon to begin with. And they're going to go where the recipes are indicated. But as the game progresses, you're going to have fewer and fewer ingredients on the board and more of these spaces where you can't place an ingredient or a recipe. So the board and your options are kind of going to, it's going to get smaller and smaller, your options for getting stuff. So let's just explain, and each person starts with a recipe in storage. You will be dealt 2 recipes, and you will decide to, sorry, that's not the player board, let me get a player board. You will be dealt 2 recipes, and you will decide which one you want to place in your storage, and the one that you don't keep will go to this board and will become a public recipe for people to complete. So again, each person will start with a recipe on their board over here. And as you're collecting ingredients, you're going to start by placing one in one of these 4 slots. And then any subsequent ingredient you get will have to be placed adjacent to an ingredient that's already existing, orthogonally adjacent. So you can start building up, you can start building out even before you start filling in these spaces if you want to. If at any point you have a recipe tile that you've placed in your area that is has an ingredient orthogonally adjacent to it on all 4 sides, then you will get to take a bonus turn right after you have completed that turn that created this. So, and then there would be one more ingredient here. So if you have a configuration like that, after completing the turn that made you cover all sides of that ingredient recipe tile, then you can take one more turn, and it might happen that you might be able to take 2 more turns because you completed 2 recipes, surrounded 2 recipes in one turn. It's possible. Someone did that actually. So yeah, so let's talk about recipes and what you're doing and ingredients. So all of these ingredients are herbs. So you'll see a bunch of different kinds of herbs in different colors. So like pink, blue, there's yellow, there's purple. I'll find a pretty purple one for you. Purple, and so on. So different colors, there's green, and there's like a pretty gray color and so on. And some of these recipes have a mooncake symbol on them. So if you add not recipes, oh my God, I'm gonna keep on confusing these. Some of these herbs have a mooncake symbol on them. And if you add an herb to your area that has a mooncake symbol on it, you immediately put a mooncake on it, which you can use later on if you want to. Any mooncakes you don't use will be 1 point each for you at the end of the game when it comes to scoring. So you are basically trying to create your own little tableau in order to score the most points by also placing recipes into your tableau. Some recipes will require that you place tiles adjacent to them. So I'll see if I can find one. Or maybe not adjacent to them, but just adjacent to each other rather. Well, here's one. 2 points for herbs in the largest orthogonally connected matching set. So in that instance, you'd want those herbs orthogonally connected. This one, you just want matching tiles in a row and they don't have to be connected, hence the spaces between those that you can see. Oh, here's one that you actually have to have it adjacent to this tile. So you have to have something adjacent to this tile in order to score this. So all different kinds. Let me see what else I can show you. This one's a high scoring one, and maybe if it had come out earlier in the game, someone might have taken it because it's worth 12 points. But this one says you can only have 2 types of herbs in your entire area. And again, there are multiple kinds. So again, how many colors are there? There's 6 colors, and it's telling you that you can only have sorry, not colors don't matter. It's the herbs. It's the so there's 6 types of herbs as well, though. Let me just show you the flurry to show you what the herbs are. So the 6 types of herbs are all of these. So if you wanted to complete that objective tile, recipe tile, you'd want to get that early on so that you can only collect those whatever 2 types of herbs you're focusing on. However, that tile came out a bit later in our game that we were playing, and so it just kind of took up a recipe spot on the moon, and it was just kind of annoying. But you could still take it if you want to and try to surround it in order to get an extra turn if you manage to surround it, even though it won't score if you wanted to do that. Okay, so everyone starts with 1 recipe tile in their storage, which they can place on a turn, and you're going to start collecting ingredients on your turn, herbs. So each person is going to start with a bunny in in a corner of the moon, although the moon is round, but you know what I mean, a corner of this board, and then you will obviously take turns starting with the first player. So you can again move this bunny that has the 3 things on it up to 3 spaces away. So again, you don't have to go in a straight line. You could go 1, 2, 3. You, however, cannot end up back next to where you started or on where you started. So you can't go like 1, 2, 3. That would be an illegal movement. You can't do that because now you're next to where you started. If you're moving, you cannot move through other bunnies. However, once these start coming out, you can move through these, but you cannot move through other bunnies. If you are on one side of the moon, you can hop over and continue your movement on the other side. So if I started here, I could go like this and go 1, 2, 3 if I wanted to, or I could go like this and go 1, 2, 3. So you can do that with your bunnies. Again, this one allows you, and you have to move 3 spaces. You can't stop at fewer than 3 spaces. And this one allows you to move in straight lines as many spaces as you want, but again, you cannot move through other bunnies, but you can move through X's as these start appearing on the moon. So once you land somewhere with your bunny, you will take the tile of the space you landed on and then add it somewhere on your board in your tableau. So again, you will start by placing a tile in one of these 4 spots, and then the next tile will have to be placed adjacent to this one somehow, and so on. And again, you will have a recipe in storage that you will want to place out at some point in time. So after moving your bunny and placing your tile into your workshop or your storage, if your storage is empty and you don't want to place that tile right away, then you refill the empty space. So you're going to have a bag filled with ingredients, herbs, and if you took a recipe from the board, because again, there are 4 recipes to start with. If you took a recipe, there's going to be a stack of recipe tiles face up, so you can always see which recipe will be coming out next onto the moon, and so you would take it from that stack instead. The game end is triggered once, you know, the bag is empty, or I believe the recipes are finished, the stack of recipes are gone, and then I think everyone gets one more turn if I remember correctly. So again, you're just going around the moon and trying to collect ingredients that you need, and so on. If you have a mooncake, if you earned a mooncake, you can spend that mooncake on a scroll. So the scrolls, which are randomly selected and placed onto that one board at the start of the game, you can buy for a mooncake. And these will give you a one-time special ability. So let's go over what some of them are, and they can be quite beneficial. So for example, this one says refresh one ingredient on the moon. So if you knew you really wanted or didn't want something, I guess you could, because it's going to be random. You can't actually like decide what you want to put out there. But if, you know, if everything really sucked and you wanted to take your chances and refresh an ingredient, you could play that one. What else do we have? This one is swap 2 ingredients on the moon, so that one is a little bit more beneficial. This one will allow you to hop diagonally, which is really nice. I wish I had that one. Again, another, this one will allow you to refresh a recipe on the moon. What else? This one will allow you to draw 2 and choose 1 to refresh 1 on the moon. That's a really good one, because now you have an option of what to put on the moon. This one will allow you to change some ingredients on your moon, so swap them, which is really nice. And this one allows you to move 1 extra space orthogonally adjacent. So it's an extra space, so it would be like a 4th hop. It's not going to be one of your 3 hops, it's going to be your 4th hop when you use that one. So those are the scrolls. So again, optionally on your turn, you can purchase a scroll for a mooncake. You can, I believe, only purchase 1 scroll at a time. So if you want to purchase more scrolls, you have to wait for another turn in order to do that. What else can you do? So yeah, you can optionally use a scroll on your turn, and again at the end of the, or then optionally you can also place a tile from storage. So if you have, and again everyone starts with a recipe tile in storage, so if it's a, you know, a great time for you to place it because you have a recipe, an herb here, an ingredient here, so you can place your recipe here because now you have 1 on the bottom, and then you would just need to put 2 on each side and then 1 on top, and then you would get a bonus turn when you completely surround it. So it's always good to wait until you place your recipes so they are in a position where they're surrounded on all 4 sides by herbs so that you can get a bonus turn. But that is essentially the game. So essentially the game is that you're moving around with your bunny. Now, to swap out your bunny, you also pay a mooncake. So, you know, everyone starts with this bunny, but as the game, I feel like, is getting towards the end, you want to swap out your bunny probably to this one, because you're not going to have too many tiles that you can collect with this kind of bunny that you can only hop 3 spaces away, because the board is going to start getting filled with more and more of these X's, and they do count as a space when you move through them. So if you're using your 3 hop bunny, you know, each one of these you hop through, it counts as a space, and it might not even be possible for you to get an ingredient as the game is towards the end of the game, while the game is towards the end of the game. So yeah, so I switched out my bunny towards the end, which was good. So that's something you definitely want to do. So yeah, I'll just post up a picture of what mine looked like at the end, and then I'll just tell you what our scores were. So the scores, when we finished, I had the lowest score. So the winner had 50, then the next player had 48, then the next player had 42, and I had 35. So I think maybe, you know, getting an extra scroll might have maybe helped. I think maybe, I don't know what else would have helped. All I know is that the winner had like 3 scrolls, if I remember correctly, and I think everyone else had like 1 scroll. So the winner definitely, you know, knew to purchase more of those scrolls, which was good for them. So yeah, when you go to endgame scoring, you can score each tile once unless it says more times. So for example, if the number, I was told if the number is in the corner, you can score it only once. However, if the number is like this, then you're going to score it multiple times because it's 1 point per those herbs. Or like this one, 2 points and largest diagonally connected matching set. Okay, so that's just 1 time scoring because it's the largest diagonally connected matching set, but I guess 2 points per herb in largest diagonally connected matching set, so a maximum of 10 points. But a lot of them are just one-time things like this one. If you have the most, you know, you'll score this. The public scoring tiles, everyone can score those. If there's one that says fewest or most, then of course you have to compare with others. However, if it's a tile that's like this one that was on the public one, then everyone can score it as long as they have 3 pink tiles somewhere in their area. But it's just a really fun tile placement game where you're trying to collect stuff and just trying to maneuver your bunnies to get the stuff that you need. So I really enjoyed it. I really loved the components. I loved everything about it. Like, it was just a pleasant game to play, and I saw that it had a solo mode. So I was like, yeah, I want this. So I went and bought it. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then you should check out Moon Bunny. So I will play the solo mode and check out how that is, and when I do, I will talk about the solo mode. So yeah, but that is Moon Bunny, so you should check it out if it sounds like something you're interested in. So let's move on. Let's talk about Garden Gecko. This is a 2024 game for 2 to 6 players, designed by James Staley, and is published by Tin Robot Games. And this is a game that I had backed on Kickstarter, and I finally got to play a game of it, a 3-player game. So this is a tile placement game. However, the tiles you're placing are for all the players, not just in your own area. But basically, each person is going to have a gecko, and the gecko looks like this. So you'll have a gecko in your own player, 5 geckos in your own player color, and you are trying to collect ingredients, and there's not ingredients, bugs, and there's a different number of different bugs. So you've got like some pretty butterflies, you've got worms. I guess crickets, maybe, ladybugs. I love the ladybugs and the butterflies. They're so pretty. Oh, yeah. Of course, those are my favorite. Let me try to hold that properly. Yeah, so you've got those. And there's going to be scoring objective cards, and then there's a bunch of tiles. So the starting tile looks like this, and I believe it's the last player in turn order who gets to decide what type of bug is placed in here. Otherwise, you'll see that all the tiles you're going to be placing out have a bug indicated on them. But for the starting tile, you will take 1 bug from the supply and place it in here. And each person is going to have a personal objective that is private to them. So the personal objective will be either something like this, which indicates that you want to have like a lot of bugs of those types, or it will be something like this, and you want to have like the largest orthogonally connected area of those kinds of tiles. So those are the different kinds of objectives that you will have that are personal to you, so 1 personal objective. And then at all times there's going to be several face-up public objectives that you can meet on your turn. So a public objective might look something like this for 1 type. So there's 2 different types. So there's the bug objectives, which look like that. And this one, you're going to want your geckos connecting bugs, tiles with bugs, these bugs on them in that kind of a sequence. Or like this one, you'll want 1 gecko connecting this kind of a bug to this kind of a bug, and another gecko connecting this bug to that bug. And then these, you just need to have geckos connecting to those bugs, but they don't need to be connected. So those are like bug objectives, and so those are always going to be publicly available, and as soon as someone completes one, you know, you refill and they take their objective card because they're worth points at the end. The bugs at the bottom of these cards are worth points. This one is going to mean that you want geckos placed on tiles of these types. So in order to get this objective, you would need a gecko placed on a blue, a yellow, a floral, a green, and a stone. So those are how those work. And sometimes it might look something like this. So basically on your turn, the first thing you're going to do is you start with several tiles in your hand. I think at all times you have 3 tiles in your hand, and then you draw 1. So you're going to before you draw one. First, to start with, you start with 3 tiles in hand, and you'll place a hex tile from your hand onto the table. So you want to connect 2 matching sides. When I played this solo, I was, for some reason, under the impression that you can only connect matching sides to matching sides. So for example, if I had this, I was waiting for a tile that would fit perfectly in here, but then if there was another tile here, it would have to have a green here, and then whatever was there that would need to connect there, and that was going to make it very difficult for me to complete tiles. But basically, that's how I was playing when I was playing solo, and my solo game just did not go well because obviously I was making it way more difficult on myself. But you don't need to have this part matching with another part when you place it. But when you place a tile, you have to place a matching part with a matching part, and then you place your gecko spanning the 2 matching sections. One on the tile you just placed, and then one part of the gecko on another tile that matches. So if you put this tile to complete this area, you could place your gecko from here to here or from here to here, depending on what you want to do. Once a tile is completely surrounded, the person who has the most gecko parts on that tile, so if you had like 2 geckos, like one here, and someone had one here, a part of a gecko here, the person who had 2 geckos connected to this bug would get to collect that bug from the supply. And bugs are worth points at the end, but you can also turn in bugs in order to just refresh I believe you can turn in bugs to refresh the objective cards, I think, or something like that. Let me see. I don't remember how you, what the bugs do that you can do with the bugs. I can't find it right now, but you can do something with a bug. Okay, I can't find it, but you can do something with a bug. So yeah, so that's your turn. So basically you're going to place a tile from your hand. You have 3 tiles in hand, then place the gecko on the placed tiles spanning matching patterns. If at that point you've collected any objectives, if at that point you've achieved any objectives, you collect the objective cards you've achieved. And you can only complete 1 of each type on a single turn. So let's suppose, I think that would be a little bit hard, but let's suppose I completed both of these by placing a tile and a gecko, then I can collect both of these on the same turn. You cannot collect 2 objectives of 1 type on the same turn, however. They have to be different types. That's the only way you can collect 2 at a time. And then you draw back up to 3 hex tiles. So you'll draw a tile from the face down pile of tiles. The game end triggers. So let me tell you about the game end triggers. Sorry, I played this a while ago, so I don't remember all the rules. Okay, so the game end triggers are when any one of the following happens. Any player has achieved their 6th objective, which is how we ended our game, because I achieved my 6th objective. One of the bug supplies is fully exhausted, or the last hex tile is drawn, not played. So that is the game end trigger, and then the current round is completed, and then you take 1 more turn, ensuring that everyone has had, the current round is completed with the player to the right of the first player taking the last turn, ensuring everyone has had an equal number of turns. So if you're the last player and you triggered the game end, then it's immediately over. And I believe I was the last player and I did that. So yeah, so now we go to scoring. So when you go to scoring, you're going to count 1 point per trapped bug you have won, plus 1 point for each bug printed on the bottom of your scored objective cards. And then you will also add points from your personal objectives, and then whoever has the most wins. Oh, I should mention, since you only have 5 geckos, if at any point you run out of geckos to place and you need to place a gecko, you instead move a gecko that's been previously placed to another tile that you just placed. So you're going to end up moving your geckos, and that's how you're going to end up completing more and more objective cards as well, because you definitely need to move your geckos. And you can only complete an objective if the tile and the gecko you placed contributes to the objective. You can't complete an objective if suppose a card comes out and you already have geckos in areas that would complete that objective. You can't collect that objective just because, you know, luckily all your geckos are already there. You have to actively place a tile within that objective in order to collect that objective card. Yeah. So again, whoever has the most points wins. Yeah. And that's it. And then again, you know, your personal objective cards are either a bug bonus or a terrain bonus. If it's the terrain bonus, you're going to count 1 point per each third of a hex tile that is part of the longest connected or largest connected area of that terrain type. So as you can see here, this person had this and they counted 1 point for each third that comprised the largest area. So that was their personal objective. So yeah, so I wanted to play this because I knew that there was an expansion coming out and I wanted to see if I should back the expansion. I don't, you know, I'll see what the expansion does, but again, I have so many games and it's like, am I really going to play, you know, this game with the expansion? If I get the expansion, what are the chances of that? I do not know. Probably not very high. So I'm probably going to forego the expansion unless it seems like it does something amazing. But I do need to cull my collection, and I'm, you know, I can foresee this one being a game that I cull at some point, maybe soon, because, you know, I'll play it maybe a couple more times and then maybe cull it because, you know, I have so many tile placement games and it's not like doing something super innovative. It's just a fun, pleasant tile placement game with geckos. So if you're like a huge fan of geckos, it might be something that you want to check out and try. Yeah, so if you like geckos and you like tile placement games, and abstract tile placement games, then this is a game you might want to check out. And again, I backed this on Kickstarter. It's not a review copy, and there was a choice of covers you could pick when you backed the game. And this is the cover that I chose because I really liked the look of it, the modern, like, clean aesthetic of it. So yeah, so that is Garden Geckos. So let's move on. Let's talk about Trust Me. This is a 2025 game for 2 to 4 players, designed by Martino Chiera, and the art is done by Paolo Voto, and it's published by Thundergriff Games. Now, this is a game that I had backed on Kickstarter. This is a betting and bluffing and set collection game. So I played a 3-player game of this, and at the time we played it, we were like, oh yeah, this definitely needs more players in order to be more fun. And it's interesting because the box doesn't say anywhere how many players it's for, and I can't recall even seeing it in the rules that it's for up to only 4 players, but it says it on BGG. So yeah, but I think it could have been better if it were for more players, like maybe up to 6 or something like that. So it's got a weird kind of theme. So the theme is this. I'm just going to read the premise of the game. So it says, it already feels like the start of a great day on the island of toys. As you stand in the park, you smell the scent of toasted sugar, hear the laughter coming from the puppet theater, and gaze up at the colorful kites soaring across the sky. You listen to the music of the merry-go-round and long to ride it. There's only one problem. You don't have any tickets. Only the most famous children have them. If you were famous, you could use your reputation to gain tickets. All you need to do is convince the other children of the great adventures you had with the different characters on the island, even if a bit of embellishment is required. After all, who will be able to tell the difference? Trust Me is a bluffing game. Players have 1 day and 1 night to grow their reputation and gain tickets by gaining the trust of their opponents or by tricking them. The player with the most valuable tickets at the end of the game wins. So it's a really kind of weird game. So you're going to have some cards, which are going to be, so each person will be dealt a certain number of cards at the start of the game, and these are the different character cards. And you'll see that all the colors have the same number. So all the purples are 2, all the reds are 1, all the greens are 3, all the yellows are 2, all these turquoise are 6, and so on. So you will see all the different colors. And you are going to have a certain number of tickets in your hand, character cards in your hand, and there's going to be 4 laid out face up next to the draw deck to start the game. And again, you'll have some in hand. And then there's going to be these tickets, which are going to be laid out on top in stacks of their numbers. So all the 4s together, all the 6s together, and so on. And these are cardboard. Yeah, and this is like the first, this is a coin actually, and there's a metal coin that this one came with. Where is the metal coin? Oh, here's the metal one. So this it came with a metal one actually as well. And you'll need this in a 3-player game, which is why I do not recommend this game at 3 players, and I'll explain why and when you use the coin. And the player aids, I will say, are like the most useless player aids I've ever seen. It's like really hard to even understand what they're saying. So there's like literally no words, just diagrams. So if you memorize it, maybe you can understand what it's saying, but otherwise we just kept on referring to the rule book. Like we did not even rely on our player aids. And this is the day and night card. So you're going to have this stacked underneath the draw deck on with the day side up for the daytime, and then with the night side up for the nighttime. And once you hit this card, the day or night is over, and then you go to nighttime if it's the day that's over, and if it's nighttime that's over, then you go to final scoring. So gameplay. On your turn, you're going to do one of 3 things. So you can, first you're going to draw a character from the character deck and place it into your hand. So again, I believe you start with 2 characters in hand. Let me just double check. I think it's 2. Oh no, sorry, you start with 1. Each player draws 1 character from the character deck as their starting hand, keeping their hand hidden from your opponent. So you start with 1 character, and then on your turn, you're going to draw a character as the first thing you do. Then you can do one of the following. You'll either tell a tale, use a reputation to gain a ticket, which you can't do on your first turn because you have no reputation on your first turn, or you can take a character from the park. Now, telling a tale is the best way to earn more reputation, and you want to get reputation so that you can get tickets, and the round is going to go by pretty quickly. So what you're going to do when you tell a tale is from the 2 cards you now have in hand, because you just drew 1, you're going to take one of those characters and place it underneath a character in the park. And now people have to guess whether or not you're telling the truth, that the characters match or they don't match. And then they're going to vote. So this is why in a 2-player game, you use the coin, because if you are split in the vote, you flip this, and that determines what the 2 players are guessing then, whether you told the truth or not. So it doesn't, you know, in a 3-player game, it kind of doesn't really work, but, you know, a 4-player game would be better, because then you're definitely going to have a majority for one or the other. So let's suppose you were telling the truth and the 2 characters do match, and people trusted you. So if you told the truth and the characters did match and people trusted you, then you have gained their trust and your reputation is growing. So you will take both characters, your card that you had just placed down and the matching character in the park, and place them face up in front of you in your reputation. So now you're starting to gain some reputation because now you have some characters in front of you. If you told the truth but the people did not believe you, then you have proved them wrong and your reputation now precedes you. This is the best option if you are telling the truth but they didn't believe you. Now you take both characters and place them face up in your reputation, and you get to take a bonus turn. So you get another turn immediately. If you lied and the characters do not match, but the majority trusted you, then you have tricked them. The Island of Toys rewards trickery. Your reputation grows and your notoriety earns you a ticket. So you take both characters and place them face up. So I guess this is actually the best one, maybe, because I guess it depends on whether you want a ticket or whether you want another turn. So you take both characters and place them face up in your reputation, and you gain 1 ticket equal to the difference between the numbers on the character cards, and place that ticket face down in front of you. So for example, if there was a 2 in the park and I played a 1 underneath it, excuse me, then I would take a 1 number ticket and place it face down in front of me. So that is how that works. Oh gosh. It says, if there are no tickets of this value remaining, take a ticket with the next lower value. Okay. If you lied and the people did not trust you, then you have been caught. You will need to tell better tales if you want to gain tickets. So you take the character you played from your hand and place it face up into the park, so now there's an extra character in the park. Now when a character gets taken from the park for the other 3, so the other 3 that we just discussed before this, you do not refill the character. So the only time you refill characters in the park is if there is, I think, no characters left. I believe that's the only time. So yeah, if at any time there are no characters in the park, draw 2 characters from the character deck and place them face up in the park. So that's the only time you refill the characters with the character deck. So, you know, it gets a little bit more interesting as the characters from the park start disappearing and there's fewer ones there, because then, you know, you wonder, you know, whether the person is telling the truth or not if they're telling a tale. Like, so if there's one character in the park and a person just drew a card and now they want to tell a tale and they decide to place a character underneath the one character in the park, you might be like, oh, they're lying, because what are the chances they have that exact character? However, that happened in our game and the person was telling the truth, and then they got another turn and then another turn. So yeah, so it can happen that they actually do have the character that's there, even if it's just one character. So that is one thing you can do on your turn. You can tell a tale. So those 4 different outcomes are all part of telling a tale if you placed a character face down in the park. The other thing you can do is use reputation to gain a ticket. And remember, gaining tickets is how you win this game. So how do you do that? So to use your reputation to gain a ticket, you're going to play 1 character after drawing a character to start your turn from your hand face up into the park. Then discard any amount of face-up characters from your reputation, so characters that you have laid out face up before you, either with the same number or in a sequence of numbers. Gain exactly 1 ticket of a value equal to the number of characters you are discarding. So you want to accumulate a lot of characters of the same type if you can, so that when you discard them, you can get a higher value ticket. So if I discarded 4 1s in order to gain a ticket, I would get a number 4 ticket. If I discarded just 1 card, it would just be a number 1 ticket. So the value on the card in that case doesn't matter. And even if you're playing a sequence, again, the numbers on the cards don't matter. It's how many cards you are using to gain a ticket. And you're going to want to do that as you see the deck dwindling, because once the game end is triggered for that round, once the round end is triggered, the round is over. You don't get like another turn. Okay, so then you take the ticket that you gained and place it face down in front of you. You know, face down tickets are not part of your reputation. Okay, so that's one thing you can do on your turn, and you can only gain 1 ticket per turn. So if you are turning in reputation to gain tickets, you can only gain 1 ticket. And finally, the last thing you can do is simply take a character from the park. So after drawing a card, so it says that sometimes there is no one around to listen to your tales. Taking a character from the park still helps you grow your reputation, but at a much slower rate. To take a character from the park, play 1 character from your hand into the park face up. Take any other character from the park and place it face up in your reputation. So, you know, this is something you might want to do if you're really desperate to get characters of a certain number, because that way you'll have more characters of that value that you can then turn in for tickets. So I would not recommend taking a character from the park unless you absolutely have to. Okay, so again, once the deck runs out and the game end is triggered, the round end is triggered, you go to nighttime if it was day that just finished. Otherwise, you would go to end game scoring. So let's pretend we finished both day and night. So let's go to end game scoring. Final scoring. Points are awarded as follows. Every ticket is worth the points equal to its value. Then each player also gains points for the quantity of tickets of different values they have according to the chart below. Only the largest set of tickets per player will score. So if you have all 6 different ticket types, because there's only tickets numbered 1 through 6, you can gain an additional 21 points for that. If you have 5 different types of tickets, it's 15 additional points. 4, 10 points. 3, 6 points, 2, 3 points, 1 type of ticket, 1 point. So again, you add up the values of the tickets and then you do like the largest set of different numbers of tickets. And then whoever has the most points wins. So that is Trust Me. So it's kind of a weird game, like a weird synopsis, like a weird, not synopsis, a weird theme, like, okay, you're telling tales to gain reputation and gain tickets. Like, I don't even know if theme really has to go with the game itself, and it does not work very well at 3 players. Would not recommend at 3. I think this game would have worked better at like a 5 or a 6 player account, but it unfortunately only goes up to 4 players. So don't know what that's about. I think it should have definitely had a higher player count, because, oh sorry, I'm not even sure I mentioned. So if players disagree, the 2 voting players disagree, and one says they trust them and one says they don't trust them, you flip this coin, and that coin determines whether you trust the player or not when they're telling a tale. I think I mentioned it, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, so that was Trust Me. I don't recall paying too much for this because I think at the time I backed it, it was like a pay what you want kind of thing, or if you were also backing something from another publisher, then it was kind of cheaper, I think, something like that. So I'm not terribly upset about having gotten this. I love the artwork on it. I just don't think it's like the most fun game, but we did decide we would play it again at 4 players and see how it plays then. So yeah, so that was Trust Me, and if that sounds like something you're interested in, then check it out. All right, let's move on. Another game I played recently is Moving Wild. So this is a new version of Zuli, and I own the original Zuli, which I absolutely loved. So I really wanted the Oink Games edition of that game. So this is the Oink Games edition of Zuli, basically. So it's a 2024 game for 1 to 6 players, designed by Chris Prescott, and the art is done by Ri Komatsuzaki. And the publisher is Oink Games. So this is a set collection game in which you're trying to add animals. Well, first you're trying to create a nature park and make sure you have enough room for the animals, but you're also trying to put animals where they belong and where they will be happy. So since I've discussed Zuli in detail on my channel before, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm just basically going to show you some of the components and some of the cards. So basically, you know, everyone starts with a base camp. So the base camp will tell you how much space you have for the animals that will be placed next to this. It will tell you what the multiplier is, and this just tells you how many cards you will get per round depending on player count. And this shows you the different terrain types. So this will allow animals that need all different 3 terrain types, but you might come across areas that can accommodate only certain types of animals. Like for example here, you can only place animals that need the yellow or the water, or here you can only place animals that need water. And then some animals are going to be friendly and they can be placed with other friendly animals, but some animals are hungry and they can only be placed with other hungry animals of their own kind. So for example, if you place an eel somewhere, you can only place eels unless you have an upgrade that allows you to place hungry animals next to happy animals because they are all well fed. So you can place an upgrade next to your location card, and those are permanent. You must place them as soon as you, if you have one, and they cannot be moved from round to round. So it's a pick and pass game. So depending on player count, you're going to have all of these animals, upgrades, and locations shuffled together and then draw a deck. And in a 5-player game, I think it is, you start the game with 7 cards, and then in round 1, then in round 2 it'll be 6 cards, and in round 3 it'll be 5 cards. So you pick a card, pass your hand, pick a card, pass your hand until you have 7 cards in round 1 in a 5-player game, and then everyone simultaneously works on their park trying to fill their various enclosures, because you will lose points if you have space unless you have an upgrade that prevents you from losing points. And you're going to be trying to place all your animals because you'll also lose points for animals you did not place yet. And you're going to do that round to round. And from round to round, once you've collected all your cards at the end of a round, you can start moving around animals. The only thing you cannot move around is the upgrade cards. So you can start moving around animals, but you're going to basically keep track of your score at the end of each round and collect various score points. So these are positive and like these are negative. And then at the end of the game, so again, you're going to lose points in each round for any enclosure that is not completely filled up to capacity. So for example, this one has a capacity of 6. And if I have animals that take up only 5 of those spaces, then I will get a -2 for not having this one filled to capacity. So these minuses can really add up quickly. So you'll get minuses for that, and you'll get -2 for each animal you did not place into an enclosure, and that's going to be for each round. But you're also going to score points for your animals that were placed. So you'll add up the points from the animals and then multiply it by your multiplier on that location. So for example, here is a location. I'm trying to see if there's a location with a multiplier of more than 1. Yeah, here we go, the valley. This can only hold has a capacity of 2 spaces, but you might get an upgrade that increases the capacity, but it has a multiplier of 2. Here's an elephant, for example, that takes up 6 spaces, but is worth 5 points. So you would take the 5 and multiply it by the multiplier to see how many points you get for the elephant that you placed. Some animals, their points change depending on whether or not they're placed with other animals and so on. So for example, the sloth does not score if it's staying alone. So if it's alone, you get 0 points. Otherwise, it's 2 points. So you want to make sure that the sloth has other animals with it, but it does not need to be other sloths. If it needs another animal of its own type, it will indicate it, like the red panda. So it says scores 3 points if staying with other red pandas. Otherwise, it scores the other amount. So a card will indicate how it scores. So it's pretty self-explanatory, really easy set collection game that's strategic and fun. And this version is in a small box with really cool oink artwork. Just really, really love it. So I really enjoyed my play of this. This was my first time finally playing with my Oink copy, because I would take it to multiple game nights, hoping that someday I would get to play with this copy, and it never happened. It does have a solo mode, and I have played my regular Zulu copy solo several times, so maybe I'll give this some solo plays, like if I'm ever traveling. It's one that's really portable, so this is one that I could easily take with me somewhere if I'm going on, because usually I vacation alone when I do go on vacations. So, you know, this is one that I could just definitely take by myself. And because I vacation alone, I know this is totally not about this game, but I usually don't stay out late. I usually try to get home before it gets really dark, just because I'm a single female traveler. And then I need to keep myself occupied in my hotel. So, you know, games are a good way to do that. So yeah, so that was Moving Wild. And if you like set collection games and pick and pass games, then I definitely recommend Moving Wild. And this is a copy that I purchased myself. So let's move on. So I did play a number of other games that I'm not going to talk about right now in great detail. I do hope to talk about 2 of them in greater detail. I'm going to see if my friend will lend me the copies of the games so that I actually have the components to show you. But I did get to play Grand Central Skyport and Big Sur from 25th Century Games, which a friend of mine had backed on Kickstarter. So I'll see if I can borrow those and talk about those in the next video. I also played a 14-player game of Flip 7 for my friend's birthday yesterday. That was pretty fun. So 14 players, so he combined 2 decks. So this is a push your luck game. So instead of like 12 12s, so 12 cards with the number 12 on them, there were 24 cards with the number 12 on them. Instead of 11 cards with the number 11 on them, there were 22 cards with the number 11 on them, and so on. So in this game, you basically, you know, you get hit each time with a card, and if you end up with 2 that are the same, then you're out, you busted. But if you didn't bust, you can choose to stop at any time and just add up the value of your cards and get that number of points. And whoever the game end triggers once someone has hit 200 points, and then whoever has the most points above 200 will win. It's also a really fun game because there's other cards that come up, that like multipliers or other additions that you get to add to your card. Your cards. There's freeze cards where you can freeze other players if they're in the lead, and so on. Yeah, and there's second chances, so if you do bust, you can use a second chance to save yourself, and so on. It's a really fun push your luck party game. I would say it's a party game, and at 14 players, it was a lot of fun. What else did I play recently? I played Rebel Princess again recently. Yeah, gosh, I feel like I've played other stuff too that I just cannot remember now. But again, I hope to talk about the 25th Century Games in next week's video. So let's move on. So let's talk about games that I'm backing. I'm currently not backing anything, so let's talk about new arrivals. So I have 3 games to show you. Actually, would have been 4, but I already showed you one of them, Moon Bunny, and I forgot to put this back in the box. This is the first player token for Moon Bunny. So I already showed you Moon Bunny, which is a game that I just purchased. So let me show you some new arrivals. So a game that I had backed on Kickstarter finally arrived. I wish it had arrived earlier because I really wanted to play this and talk about it, but maybe next week. And that is A Place for All My Books. And I backed the Kickstarter Deluxe Edition, so there is a slipcase, and then this is what the box looks like, and it opens up like this. Let's see, here's the rule book. Nice paper. It smells okay. It doesn't have that really good smell. Here is the Central Town board. Really pretty. I really love the aesthetic of this game. Here are the different player boards for the different characters. I feel like purple would have gone really well, but they did not choose purple for a character, but this bag is in purple. So that's purple. Here are the different character tokens, I guess. Yeah. And then there are these cute little kitty tokens. Absolutely love those. And then I guess these are the non-deluxe edition pieces, I'm guessing. Yeah, maybe some score markers. Yeah. And then you have all of these book pieces, which I did not put into the bag yet, but I'll just show you a couple. So they come in all these different colors. It looks like purple might be a unique one because I don't see many purples. I see just one purple book right now, and it has a question mark on it. So these are screen printed wooden books. Really nice. And I like that they all just kind of have different designs on them. So all the blues have that kind of a border. All the greens are like this, but again, they're all different from one another. So that's really cool. So these are all the books, which I'm guessing you would put into the bag. And then you have all of these cards. So let's see. We've got these blue cards, which are called Other Neat Stuff. And let's see what's on these cards. Oh, that's funny. There's cards with board games on them. Let's see which board games they chose. So we've got Boop and then Boop. Oh, that makes sense because it's the same publisher. Duh, that makes sense. Smirk and Dagger. So that's really cool because I really like Boop. So that's pretty cool. It's even got a place for all my books. So you've got board games within board games. That's really cool. You've got fancy bookends. You've got a bookshelf. Let's see what else there might be that's interesting that I want to show. You've got graphic novels. You've got a Lucky Kitty. You've got, ooh, I like this one, Night Lamp. That's pretty cool looking. Yeah. Then you've got some plushies and other things. So those are Other Neat Stuff. Then you've got, let's see what these are, Major Accomplishments. So I guess these are like goal cards. So you have those. Okay. Okay. What else do we have? We have little projects. So I think that these are the cards that you are actually trying to complete within your own area, is my guess, because these are the little projects, and I think this game is about completing projects and staying at home, you know, gaining energy before you venture out back into the world. I'm thinking that that's what that is. These cards are like the character cards that match with the different players, and I guess each one has a special ability. So that's that. And then rival cards. So I'm guessing this is for the solo mode. So, and they all look like this. And there is this card. So pretty sure that's for the solo because it has the same character on it. So yeah, so those are the solo cards. Yeah, and then it also came with these bookmarks, which are cool. So I guess I'll use these because I do read a lot. And sometimes I just start one book and then I don't finish it and then I start another one, and so I have multiple books that have bookmarks being used in them, so it's always good to get more bookmarks. So I think I will use those if I need them. So yeah, so that is a place for all my books, and I really want to play this soon. So I'm hoping I will get to play it at my game night tomorrow if people are not busy and they show up. So yeah, I really want to play this. I was really looking forward to getting this game, so really excited that this arrived. And then I have 2 more games to show you. So I happened to be at Barnes & Noble and saw that a game that I had my eyes on for quite some time was finally on sale, so I was able to get it at a discount, and that is Bonsai. So it was on a discount from like $36 or $37 to $20. So I finally picked up Bonsai. So really excited about that, and it's a 1-to-4 like tile placement game. So it's got a bunch of different like tiles. And some brown ones as well. It's got these. I have no idea what these are. A bunch of different cards. Let's see. Yep, so these are all the cards, different types. Again, I don't know how to play this game, so cannot talk about that. A score pad. These things, whatever these are, no idea. Looks like maybe, I don't know, maybe a teapot. I could be totally off here. I have no idea, but I think maybe a teapot, maybe. We've got different cardboard tiles like these, and I think that there's some kind of objectives, and then just this board, which is pretty. Yeah. So yeah, so that is Bonsai. I actually stuck all of the punch boards underneath this so that things wouldn't move around too much because there was plenty of space. So that was nice to be able to stick the punch boards underneath and make sure that the board and everything stays flush, and so that things don't shuffle around too much. Although it wouldn't be a huge problem because mostly everything's in bags anyway, but still. So yeah, so that is Bonsai, which I purchased on sale from Barnes & Noble. And then my game store, Millennium Games, was having one of their semi-annual or annual, I don't know, sidewalk sale where they discount heavily a lot of games. And I only purchased one game from their discounted area, which I've had my eyes on for quite some time, but I just didn't think it was like worth the really big price. So finally it was 40% off. So I I bought Rattus Big Box. Yeah. So I really like the look of this game. I liked the theme of it. It's like an area control game having to do with the plague. It includes all different expansions, and I just really like the artwork. So yeah, like look at that witch. Maybe she's not a witch, maybe she's just a person who's been infected by the plague, but she looks like a witch. So, and then we've got Rattus, this rule book for all the expansions, I'm guessing. But I just love the colors. Like, look at how pretty. So pretty. Hot. I'll see how much of this. Okay, the board doesn't seem too big. I can open this up. And then I'll show you the inside of the box. I already punched things out. I did not open up the player pieces, but I punched a bunch of stuff out. So there's like tokens that look like this, like point tokens. There are these kinds of tokens. I don't know how to play. All I know is like it's kind of like an area control game. There's a bunch of these like kinds of like tiles. Let me show you some like beakers, maybe cures, who knows. Some of these cards. I think these are like maybe objectives of some kind. Personal objectives maybe, or just objectives for everyone to meet. And these are like different kinds of like location cards. Oh, interesting. So I guess there's like different religions and stuff too, because it has like the crescent moon and it's Italia. Oh, that's interesting. Now I'm really curious. I'm very intrigued now, because now here's a cross. So yeah, really intrigued by that. Okay, and then I'll show you some of the other cards with the people on them. Cool artwork. I really like the aesthetic. Yeah, okay, I'll show you some pieces. And then there's all these different kinds of meeples in different colors, which I haven't opened up yet. So yeah, so I purchased this because, and it was the only thing I purchased from their sidewalk sale because I had my eyes on it for a while and nothing else really caught my interest over there. So I'm excited to give this a try. From the reviews I read, it's really easy to learn, but you feel like it has more going on, despite it being easy to learn. So really looking forward to playing Rattus. So those are my new arrivals. So let's move on. I guess I'll just do a quick convention update since conventions are coming up soonish. So the next 3 conventions I have lined up are Essen and then FlagCon in Ithaca, New York, which the first 2 years I helped to organize. This year I did not help organize. I just didn't have the time for it, but I will still be attending for hopefully all 3 days. And it'll be nice to attend FlagCon this year without having organized it, because that means I don't actually have to work the con like half of the days. I can just, you know, enjoy myself and play games with my friends. So really looking forward to that. And then PAX Unplugged. And these conventions are like, you know, 2 weeks apart. So there's Essen, and then skip a weekend, and then FlagCon, then skip a weekend, and then PAX Unplugged. So it's going to be insanely busy and tiring, but I'm really looking forward to it because these are my 3 favorite conventions. So I only attend 4 conventions a year, and the other one is UKGE, which I skipped this year, but I think I might try to make it for at least one day next year. So yeah, so really looking forward to these conventions. And life is going to be super busy in November and December, because then in December I'm going to Iraq for 2 weeks. So yeah, so that's going to happen as well. If anyone's watching, let me know if there are any board game stores in Iraq. Maybe I should reach out to some of my Arab friends in the industry and find out if they know. I actually have another content creator friend from Instagram who's currently in Iraq because as I've mentioned before in my videos, I'm Shia Muslim, and we commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, the Prophet's grandson. It's a really big thing, and the largest pilgrimage that occurs every year is currently happening in Iraq. It's just finishing up now because we mourn for 40 days after the anniversary of the killing of Imam Hussein, and then on the leading up to the 40th day, there are millions and millions and millions of pilgrims making a walk all the way from Najaf to Karbala. So they actually walk, and it is an amazing sight to see because there are thousands of Iraqis that line up to help those pilgrims out. They line up giving free food to them. They line up massaging their feet with places to rest. You have tents set up along the entire way from Najaf to Karbala. It is amazing to see. And there are, so many disabled people that you will see making this walk as well, because that is how much devotion and love they have for the Prophet's grandson. And if you want, I'll link below like where I talk about what happened in a little bit more detail and why it's so important for Shia Muslims, this event, because it means a lot to us. Like, I may not be the most religious person in other respects, but this thing is like the most important thing to me and my beliefs. I can't express like how important this is and commemorating this every year and what it means. And what it means to us is that we always will stand up and fight against injustice and oppression everywhere. This whole event, that's what that was all about, was standing up to tyranny, to standing up against oppression and injustices and things like that. So yes, so it's a very important event, and a content creator friend of mine is currently in Iraq, which is very cool. So I might reach out to him and see if there are any board game stores in Iraq. Not that I'll have time to go. I'm actually going to be in Baghdad for a few days, and I'm going to do a few days of sightseeing in Baghdad. But I'm also, most of the trip is going to be with visiting these religious locations in Najaf and Karbala. And I'm also going to be visiting like orphanages while I'm in Iraq. And so I'm the religious stuff I'll be doing with like a tour group, but me and my family will have our own hotel rooms and stuff, so we'll just be meeting up with them, and they have like a set agenda for us and everything. And part of that agenda is visiting orphanages, so we know that ahead of time, so we'll be taking gifts with us for the orphans, like toys and books and things like that. So it's going to be a very, very good, meaningful trip, and I'm just really, really excited for it. So that's happening in Iraq. So yeah, October, mid-October to end of December, insanely busy. So we'll see how that impacts my video making. But I guess that's still a whiles away. But before Essen, I will do a video dedicated to the games that I'm most looking forward to checking out at Essen. So I guess that's my convention update. I guess I will mention my friend's convention that I attended yesterday. So 2 years ago was the first time he did this con called WyomingCon because it's based in Wyoming, New York, which is where he lives. So I am one of the original attenders. So he even had these really cool badges made. They had custom lanyards made for WyomingCon. And because I'm one of the original attenders from 2 years ago, I got a special red flag here, which indicates I'm one of the original attenders. The badge number says 63, but don't worry, there weren't like 60 people in one person's house. It was much fewer than that. I think maybe 16 people, 18 people maybe maximum. But it starts at number 60 because my friend turned 60. So this was to celebrate his 60th birthday. And then my badge number ended up being 63 because I'm one of the original attenders who attended his first WyomingCon 2 years ago. So this was my 3rd year in a row attending, and it's getting more and more professional looking each year. We were joking how it might become a full big, like a full-blown big con someday, where he's going to need to get like people to register on a website and all of that, and we might need to rent out a convention hall. So yeah, it was really fun. It was really funny too because they had like doors that they didn't want people going into, and they had signs that said for convention staff only. Like they really made it feel like a convention. One of the funniest things, I didn't take a picture of this, but my friend had joked that he would put up signs saying that they're having a special guest, celebrity guest, who is me, Sarah Shaw. So I just laughed and I was like, oh yeah, that would be funny. And he actually did make a sign saying that. So when you enter the con, there was a sign saying celebrity guest Sarah Shaw. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit embarrassing, but it was funny. So yeah, I just really had a lot of fun yesterday at his all-day con. They're just really good, nice people. So that was just a lot of fun to attend. So that is my convention and I guess Iraq update as well. So let's move on. I don't really have a cat update, but I just wanted to say I could appreciate all the good thoughts and prayers because my mom was staying with me after I had my surgery for about 10 days. So she was helping. So at first when I was like the day of and a few days following my surgery, she and my older sister were covering at the cat colonies for me, which was really nice because when I go out to the cat colonies, I have really heavy jugs of water and I carry them all in a very big sturdy bag. And it weighs a lot. So they were doing that for me, but now my mom has gone because she needed to go back home and take care of stuff. So now I have to very carefully feed these colonies. So it's gonna take a long time because I can't carry multiple jugs of water at once now. I can't carry, and I used to carry the jugs of water in that big bag. And then in the other hand, I had, a big container filled with dry food, and then with the hand that I had the jugs of water hanging off of my arm, which probably not so great for my arm, I would carry the plates with the cans of wet food on top of them. So I would do everything in one go. I would go to the location, the feeding location, set down the water, set down the plates, and then do all my stuff and then carry everything back at once. I can't do that now because I can't carry things that weigh more than 5 to 10 pounds, and I'm already in pain, and I think I've already overexerted myself as it is, to be honest, and I'm already wondering if I've already done some damage to my healing with my internal organs. So I ordered a wagon, a lightweight foldable wagon, which I can fold and unfold and put everything in and then wheel it over to the site. It's going to be a little bit tricky with area number 1, which is really narrow, and it's really easy to like accidentally slip into the ditch, which I've done a number of times. I've slipped and fallen there like at least 4 or 5 times by now, especially in the wintertime, very easy. So I don't know how I'll get the wagon to turn around when I need it to turn around to go backwards, or maybe I can push it back when I'm done doing my stuff, and walking around it is going to be a little bit hard, but I figured the wagon is my best option. But I only just placed the order today and it's not going to arrive until Wednesday. So today I'm just going to have to carry each thing one by one, and the poor cats are going to have to wait a lot longer. So yeah, so I just could use your good thoughts and prayers for that, for cat feeding from this day forward, where I will again be doing it all by myself while trying to heal as well. So please send your thoughts my way. I did have hopes and dreams of creating a really cool covered feeding platform at colony number 2, but that's not going to happen now. So unless one of my friends who's really amazing with woodworking and is building his own house and sauna in like a wooded area in Ithaca, just really, really impressive, unless I can maybe convince him to help me out with that, but I can't do it on my own now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that is the cat update. So let's move on. So for this week, we were supposed to read chapters 21 to 24 of The Free People's Village by Sim Kern. I will admit that I started reading this really late. It's been a long time, so I couldn't even remember. So at the start of chapter 21, the main character, whose name, why am I drawing a blank on the name? Maddie. So Maddie says that she woke up early and started cleaning. I can't even remember why she needed to start cleaning, but I didn't bother to go back and read it. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just continue onwards. But yeah, so she woke up for some reason and started cleaning. And then you see what happens. There's like a big concert and people start coming outside of the laboratory, the lab. And so many people show up, and then the police show up, and you know, they get tear gassed and all of that. So there's all of that going on. And I think it's, you know, again, you know, we learn a lot about, you know, how it's the Black and the poor communities that are affected when governments and the white people in charge, you know, think that they're making a difference for everyone, but and they're the ones who are contributing the most to pollution, for example, because this book is about pollution and environment and stuff like that. And they get their, like, you know, ways to offset their pollution, whereas the Black people and the poor people are the ones who are suffering. And that's just so true to reality. So we get to see a little bit of that in this in these few chapters as well. And then we finally see Maddie do the thing that I really wanted her to do, which is to break up with Fish. So that finally happens, it looks like, because at the end of chapter 24, she basically tells Fish that she's staying with them, and them being the people who are occupying the lab, because now you have so many other people staying in the lab and occupying it to fight off the police and prevent it from being demolished and prevent the highway from coming through. So that is what we have seen so far. So again, enjoying the read, but for next time, please read chapters 25, 26, 27, and 28. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you found interesting in these chapters, and yeah, and just let me know your thoughts below. And yeah, so we will read the next 4 chapters of this for next time. So let's move on. So I am the absolute worst, and as I discussed in the intro of this video, if you didn't watch it, please go back and watch it, because I talk about what happened and why I didn't do my nonfiction reading yet. But just a quick reminder of what we are supposed to read. We are supposed to read chapter 6 of Iran, A Modern History. So please read chapter 6 for next time. You've had like 3 weeks now, I guess. I've had 3 weeks now, but life has just been busy, and I've also just been recovering from surgery and dealing with that. So please, you can watch the intro if you want to see kind of why I haven't done my reading yet. But I promise, it will be done by next week. And if I'm shooting a video next week, assuming nothing serious happens, then I will cover chapter 6 in next week's video. And if I don't, I will punish myself by not playing board games the following week. So that will give me an incentive to read and finally do my readings. So yeah, so that is the nonfiction update. So let's move on. So in this week's rant of the week, it's basically going to be like a continuation of all the stuff from before regarding Blue Sky, regarding people in this industry still being silent about the genocide, and so on. So I want to talk about a tweet that Eric Lang made on Blue Sky. So 3 days ago, and I'll post the screenshot here, on August 14th, he wrote, "If you take a public stand for any social or political issue, any issue, inevitably many will swoop in to berate you for not standing for different issues. Others will berate you for not standing up enough or correctly. That is their way. That's their problem, not yours. Take a stand anyway." So take a stand anyway for the issues that are safe to take a stand for, but ignore all the berating and all of this and that and blah, 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 asking you to stand up against genocide. Here is Eric Lang again. I will remind you, he is a person who made a statement in 2021 when Israelis were attacking Palestinians, and he gave his shitty take, and Palestinians were the ones who were being killed, and here he was still making a post, you know, to appease his Zionist friends. And again, October 7th happened. What did Eric Lang do? He immediately made a post condemning Hamas's attacks, you know, talking about how Jews everywhere are going to feel unsafe, blah, 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 not really mentioning any concern for the Palestinians, and has since then, not one time, not a single time, he has not condemned the genocide. and spoken up about it. Like, just unfucking believable. This guy will, take time to make multiple posts explaining his silence and trying to justify his silence, but apparently can't take the time to actually condemn the genocide. It's complete and utter bullshit. Like, how can people not see through this? But apparently, at this moment in time, 138 people cannot see through this, because 138 people liked this absolutely shitty tweet. 138 people. And I got 2 quotes, and one of the quotes was from Jillian. So Jillian is someone who, called me dangerous back in 2021 and accused me of trying to get her fired, which I never did, but whatever. So Jillian wrote, I never enjoyed the, but are you also speaking about X unrelated issue response to social justice posts? It takes away from both issues and now centers the conversation on who is talking about what. It is how you end up with hollow statements with no meaningful action. No, it does not take away from both issues. We as humans have the capacity to care for multiple things at one time. Like, and seriously, how much time does it take to condemn a genocide? How much time does it take to show the world that you are against the genocide? Like, just say you're fucking against the genocide. And if you don't want to do more than that, then fine. Then, I'll probably still criticize people if all they do is just the bare minimum and say, I condemn the genocide of Palestinians. It would be nice to see more than that in this fucking community that claims to care about all, minorities and marginalized people, and no one is fucking more marginalized in this industry than Arabs and Muslims or people of Middle Eastern background. Like, literally no one is more marginalized in this board game community than them. Not even Black people. Black people are not more marginalized than people like me in this industry. And the Our Family Plays Games popularity, you've got that one dude part of like some other, I don't remember what his name is, there's another Black content creator, what's his name? He also unfriended me a long time ago, so I don't remember his name, and I found him to be really annoying. God, he's part of Man versus Meeple. I don't remember his name. There's him. You've got Black content creators, like people on Board Game Geek, so, and because this community tries so hard to show that they care about Black Lives Matter, they're always amplifying these Black people's posts, like, all the time. Like, Our Family Plays Games made a tweet recently on Blue Sky about t-shirts that they have for sale, and Rodney Smith, pushed it out for people to purchase. Like, oh yeah, great content creators, and I love this design of this shirt. It's just like 4 hexagons with the letters O, F, PG in them. Like, I know you all know I'm not a fan of Our Family Plays Games, but even if I were, it's not a shirt I would personally buy because I don't like the design. So I would want to only buy shirts that have cool designs on them that I would actually want to wear, not something boring, even if it supports the people. Like, that's why when I did have merch for sale, and I'm going to try to get merch back up somewhere, but the site that was selling my merch got taken down. He quit the site, Sir Meeple, because he wasn't getting enough sales. And then it was after, this is totally going on a tangent, but it was after I placed my last order for my own merch with Sir Meeple that a bunch of people again started privately messaging me and being like, oh, where can we buy your shirt? And I'm like, of course they would ask now after the site has been taken down, but I'm going to try to put the designs back up somewhere else by myself. But anyway, so I tried to have designs that people would actually want to buy, not just a bunch of like letters or whatever. But anyway, of course their posts are always going to get retweeted and pushed out. They're Black, so people are going to try to show that they support Black people in this industry, blah, blah, blah. Do you think they do that with me? No. So, Muslims and Arabs, I would say, are the most marginalized in this community, and they are, in fact, in the world at this point in time, the only community that it's okay to be racist against. Like, bigotry against Muslims and Arabs is the only acceptable form of bigotry in the world today. It does not get the same kind of outrage that bigotry against Blacks gets, or against trans people gets, or against whatever have you, black people, trans people, even East Asians when COVID was happening, like, I don't know, gay people, so on. So it doesn't get the same kind of response in anger when someone is being, showing their anti-Islam hate and saying horrible things and crap about Muslims. Okay, so I went off on a major tangent here, so I don't even know how I got there. So yeah, so I would say that Muslims and Arabs and people of Middle Eastern descent are the most marginalized in this community. And I don't think that it would take too much fucking effort to make even one post and say you condemn the genocide of Palestinians. Palestinians, the majority of whom are Muslim and Arab, and they are all Arab, but majority Muslim and some Christian. So how is it you can take the time multiple times to make your posts, you know, trying to justify your fucking silence, yet you can't take 2 minutes to make a post condemning the genocide? Like, just fucking come out and say that you don't fucking care about Palestinians, Muslims, or Arabs. Like, just come out and fucking say it already. Like, you've made it so abundantly clear. Like, why are you still beating around the bush about this, Eric? Like, seriously, why the fuck is someone like Eric beating around the bush about how he just doesn't give a fuck about Muslims or Arabs? Like, why? Like, just come out and show the world what you fucking are. Like, it's so fucking abundantly clear at this point in time. And then people like Jillian who come on with these stupid statements like, it's, you know, it's how you end up with hollow statements and no meaningful action. Okay, so that's all you people do anyway. So why do you care if it's going to result in hollow statements in the industry? At least it might get people to start somewhere and be like, oh, like, they're condemning the genocide. What does that mean? It might get people to start digging a little deeper, right? But no, you know, she's just going to end it with, oh, it'll just result in this. So don't expect people to speak up about X, Y, and Z issue when they're talking about other issues, because that's how you end up with hollow statements and no meaningful action. You haven't done any meaningful action for most issues anyway. Like, you know, most people in this industry who are these, you know, people who I would call social justice warriors, even though that's a term that usually right-wing people use, but I'm a far left person, someone who considers herself an anarchist, who will use that term pejoratively against these people because they fucking infuriate me. And I do consider them just to be social justice warriors who just sit on the computer and don't fucking actually do anything in real life to make a difference. Even when, I'm just gonna remind people, because I'm someone who always tries to put actions to my words. Like I talked about in the last video, like, you know, how back then I was not aware of J.K. Rowling being a TERF and, you know, supporting anti-trans legislation and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But even by then, I had already volunteered my time as a lawyer to help trans people legally change their names. That's not something I had to do. I didn't get like some kind of CLE credit for it or whatever, continuing learning education credits for it. Like I received no benefit from doing that personally, except maybe to make myself feel good, because doing good makes you feel good. And, you know, I don't think anyone in this world can say that they don't feel good from doing good. So there's always going to be that element of, you know, selfishness involved when you do good deeds, because it's going to make you feel good. So yeah, so I did a good deed for trans people, but I was still fucking called a TERF. So, you know, for the majority of these people, actions don't fucking matter anyway. Like you can do actions and they'll still call you a TERF. They'll still call you whatever. And sometimes the actions are done in ways that aren't benefiting anyone anyway. If you are doing actions like Jillian did. So like Jillian did a fundraiser for Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. Like great, you raised some money, but what the fuck is raising money going to do when you're not talking about why you need to raise money? Not once was it talked about why they needed to raise money. Who's doing the killing? Why are they doing the killing? How long has it been happening for? All of these things were completely ignored in this fundraiser. And do you think they reached out to Palestinian content creators in this industry? No. And as I already showed in the last video, one Palestinian person has left. There are Palestinian content creators on Instagram who I would say are pretty well known. I don't know if they were contacted. One person who I guess was contacted, and it's at this point in time when he saw it was safe to show solidarity with Palestinians, that he then put a watermelon watermelon emoji in his username on Instagram, and that's Board and Shield, this Muslim content creator, Zishan Khan, who I personally can't stand, and I'll explain why in a minute. But do you think they actually reached out to people who actually are knowledgeable about Palestine, actually care about Palestine, to participate in this live stream? No, because they wouldn't want people who actually sit there talking about why they're doing this fundraising. It's a hollow, meaningless, shitty fundraiser where you raised a few $1,000s to make yourselves feel good about the fact that you never condemned the genocide. Not once, even Jillian, who has been, who did this fundraiser, not once has she explicitly said, I condemn the genocide that Israelis, Zionists, are committing against Palestinians. She still follows Kids Table Board Gaming on social media. She still supports games from fucking Zionists. She works for a company that gives one Zionist a shit ton of money. So yeah, I mean, hello, like, where the fuck are your values? Where the fuck is the integrity when you're raising money but not talking about who's doing the killing and why you're raising the money? So going back to Zishan Khan, so that guy irritates me to no end, and I'm so sick of him and another Muslim in this industry. Like, they just irritate me to no end. I think it's a shame that we as Muslims cannot even be united. And I've already explained why that one Arab board game minimalist, I think, doesn't like me, because he has never liked me. Even before I became a controversial, problematic person in this industry, he just ignored me when I used to respond to his tweets and try to reach out to him and wanted to be like friends with him, because I was like, oh, Muslim content creator with an Arab background, like how great. But he just completely ignored the shit out of me and wanted nothing to do with me, even before I was problematic. And I think that's because I'm a woman, an outspoken woman, and and I do think he's maybe a bit misogynistic against Muslim women, and also because maybe he knows I'm Shia and he's a Sunni Arab and he doesn't like Shias. Who the fuck knows? So I don't like him, and I'll explain why I don't like him. I guess I'll start with him first, because that goes back to Rodney Smith and Rodney Smith's utterly shitty statement back when the genocide began, and Board Game Minimalist was like, oh, I'm losing followers, blah, 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 blah. And then Rodney issued the most pointless, stupid statement ever, basically like, oh, Kareem, I'm sorry you're losing followers, this is a complicated issue, blah, blah, blah. And Board Game Minimalist Kareem just completely ate up this shitty statement and did a huge injustice to the cause within this community. Like, he fucking set back us so much by accepting below the bare minimum, because Rodney didn't even do the fucking bare minimum of condemning the genocide. Already so many Palestinians had been killed by then, and Rodney didn't even do the bare fucking minimum, and Kareem ate it up and was happy with it and set the bar for this industry, because people look to Kareem as being the representative of Arabs and Muslims in this industry. Not me, who's been utterly, like, completely outspoken since 2021. No, not me, but people like fucking Kareem who accept less than the bare minimum. So yeah, so that's why I don't fucking like Kareem, and I think he's done an injustice, and he did an injustice to us again recently on Blue Sky. Like, just fucking unbelievable. So like, Kareem, when he joined Blue Sky, had not once made a post about Palestine. Not once, right? So here he is posting on Blue Sky, and then he's like, oh, I was trying to stay away from politics, but I guess I can't stay away from politics, blah, 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 blah. Like, first of all, a genocide is not fucking politics. So you're, again, doing a fucking injustice to the cause. Like, infuriating, so infuriating. And then, people started responding to him about like, oh, how, why they're silent about the genocide and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And yet again, Kareem just eats it up, like, just eats it up and is happy with less than the bare fucking minimum. To me, he is an Arab who just wants to be accepted by the white people in the industry and feel like he's one of them. And so he will just keep on doing a fucking injustice to the Palestinian cause. Like, I absolutely cannot stand that guy, and Kareem is the same fucking thing. So Kareem did not add a fucking watermelon emoji, which is just utterly useless when you've never made one statement condemning the genocide. So he added a fucking watermelon emoji to his profile once Jillian did the fundraiser. Prior to the fundraiser, nothing. No indication that he might support the Palestinians. And when I saw that he was doing a live stream on Instagram with Zionists shortly after the genocide began, and I messaged him and I was like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know, like you're a Muslim and here you are doing a live stream with Zionists. Like, do you have no fucking shame? Like, you know? And he was like, oh, I keep, you know, politics separate from my board game account. I haven't condemned the genocide because this is my board game account. I fucking guarantee you that if we were friends on Facebook, I probably wouldn't see a single post about the genocide, because here is someone who is so utterly materialistic and cares only about popularity and getting more and more fucking games that I guarantee you, as someone who probably has friends from Facebook, from the industry on Facebook, I'm guessing he probably, I would bet most of my money that he hasn't even condemned the genocide in private, on his private personal Facebook. But yeah, he started giving me a whole bunch of shitty excuses about why he won't use his platform even one time to condemn the genocide. Then I noticed last week, like, he was checking my stories a lot last week. And I was like, that's weird. You know, he would check them towards the beginning of the genocide, see me always posting about the genocide, always on my stories, like nonstop. And then for a long time, he stopped looking at my stories. And then, you know, it would pick up now and then go silent again. But last week he was like looking at all of my stories, and I was like, I don't know if that's like, you know, people were talking about me behind my back, whatever. I'll talk about you in front of your face in my videos. Like, that's, you know, there's no reason to hide how I feel about all the shitty people in this industry. So I don't know if people were talking about me and being like, oh, there goes Sarah again on Blue Sky, you know, attacking people, whatever, blah blah blah. But again, he was checking every story. So then I made a story targeted at him. So I made a story in which I called him out, not by name, but it was obviously clear who I was talking about. And I said, if you have a large platform and you haven't used your platform once to condemn the genocide, especially if you're Muslim or Arab, then you should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. That was the last story of mine he saw since last week, and hasn't checked my stories again. So he was constantly checking my stories for a little over a week, and then boom, I make that post. Not again. And has he condemned the genocide? Nope. So here is someone who cares more about being able to get free games, not upsetting his Zionist friends and followers, and yeah, just a fucking sellout and a shill. Like, I hate people like him. They disgust me. They disgust me beyond belief. So yeah, so Kareem and Borden Shield, whatever his name was again, Zishan, yeah, you both should be so fucking ashamed of yourselves. And I know shaming people doesn't get them to care. At this point, nothing's going to get them to care. If they don't already care about their own people being slaughtered and keep on doing an injustice to the Palestinian cause in this industry, when people like me are working so hard to educate people about what the fuck Zionism actually is and how it equates to colonialism, apartheid, and all of that, like, if they're just gonna keep on undoing the work, then they're just fucking losers, and I just hate them. I don't care if they're Muslim. I don't care, like, if they're Arab. They're just so fucking stupid. They should be so ashamed of themselves and disgusted. And if me saying that isn't going to get them, if them being of that group themselves isn't going to get them to do the right thing, me shaming them is not going to add harm to it. It's not going to prevent them even more from speaking out against the genocide. Like, if someone shamed me, like, for example, you know, I'm someone who's very outspoken and, you know, claims to care about a number of issues. If someone shamed me and was like, Sarah, like, why are you doing this when you claim to care about X, Y, and Z? I would be like, oh yeah, okay, I should, you know, not be doing this, and I should, you know, I would try to listen, and I would feel fucking embarrassed. Like, I would feel so fucking embarrassed. Like, if I claimed to care about elephants and then all of a sudden you saw me riding an elephant in Thailand, like, can you imagine how horrible that would be? Like, I would expect someone to call me out and be like, Sarah, you claim to be an elephant rights activist, and now you're riding a fucking elephant? Well, the elephant isn't a fucking elephant, but you're the fucking person who's riding an elephant. Like, what's wrong with you? What's fucking wrong with you? I would be so fucking embarrassed. I would be like, oh my God, like, yes. You know, because, like, what kind of a person would that make me? Yeah, here you have Kareem, who in private messages was like, oh no, I really care about the Palestinian cause, still schmoozing with fucking Zionists, still refusing to speak up. He just sickens me. He and Kareem just sicken me beyond belief, like, whatever. So yeah, so fuck them, fuck Eric Lang, fuck Jillian, fuck all of these people, fuck Our Family Plays Games, because they are still fucking silent. I called them out on Blue Sky. I made these posts because they hadn't yet blocked me on Blue Sky. So just like I mentioned last week, I used, you know, I figured what was going to be my one opportunity to respond to them before they block me. So I made some posts Surprisingly, though, they did not block me, and they have come back on Blue Sky since I've made that post, but they did not block me. So maybe they're just trying to show me that, oh no, we're not gonna block you, but they still haven't fucking said a word about Palestine. They still haven't condemned the genocide. And as far as I know, they're still sponsored by the Zionist publisher, KTVG. So yeah, so fuck all of these people, because here was Our Family Plays Games saying that, oh, you should not be silent even if something doesn't affect you directly. Like, you know, you should be speaking up even when you're not directly impacted. So when I call them out for, you know, not speaking up for Palestine, even though they're not directly impacted, did that encourage them to speak out? No, of course not. Because God forbid they lose their funding. God forbid they stop getting money and sponsorships and all of that. These people are all just fucking sellouts. They are all just fucking shills and sellouts. That's all they fucking are. In Eric Lang's post that I had just talked about earlier, someone responded to it, and you know, he even said, I'm not very familiar with you or your work, but I hear you are at times a voice of conscience in the industry. I applaud that. As for what you say here, not all social issues are equal. Some demand attention more than others. My point is, genocide is an awfully big evil to remain silent about. It really fucking is, especially for someone who has been talking about the Holocaust on his own personal Facebook profile and would say never again, but he only applies it to Jews. He does not apply it to everyone. So here he will use Holocaust imagery and language and stuff like that on Facebook to say, oh, I hope my Jewish friends and people are okay and safe and blah, 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 and people in America, blah, 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 but will not once fucking condemn a genocide. Eric Lang should be so fucking ashamed of himself, but he won't be, because he is just such an arrogant prick. Like, that is what he is. He's just an arrogant prick who thinks he's always in the right and will block anyone else who even tries to get him to say anything about Palestine. Like, just fuck him. Seriously, just fuck him. I'm just so angry. Like, I hate these people so fucking much. Yeah, and same like with Suzanne and all these people who claim to be anti-genocide and still haven't said a word about the genocide. Like, fuck them, and fuck the Muslims in this industry who are setting the bar so fucking low, like, and doing an injustice to all Muslims and Arabs in this industry and Middle Easterners. Like, fuck all of you. I just hate you, and I think you should be so fucking ashamed of yourselves. And if you are a Muslim and you're watching this and you're one of those people, just know, because we're Muslims, so we believe in Judgment Day and we believe in heaven and hell, and you will be held accountable for placing profits and games above your brethren in Palestine. So fuck you, and I can't wait for justice to be served in the next life. Yeah, so you can burn in hell with your Zionist buddies if you are going to continue being such a fucking sellout. Like, I hate these fucking people so fucking much. I'm just really over it. Just, and I am this passionate and outspoken because I am following so many pro-Palestine, anti-genocide content creators, and I know that what I'm saying is not fanatical. It's not extremist. Like, this is how everyone should be. This is how outraged everyone should be. It's a fucking genocide. Like, what about the word genocide do you not understand? Like, I don't understand. Yeah. So no, I'm not being an extremist. I'm not being a fanatic. I'm not being whatever. This is the appropriate, normal reaction to a genocide, and to people being silent about a genocide, people who claim to care about human rights. This is the appropriate, normal reaction. And if you follow any other content creators who post just about the genocide, you would see that this is the appropriate, normal reaction, and they would all be on my fucking side and would agree with me. So yeah, so this industry is just shitty. It's just shitty. Just a really shitty industry that is filled with fucking hypocrites. Yeah, so I guess that's my rant of the week. I'm just so angry and so over it. But you know what? I can't give up. I can't stop talking, because the genocide is just day by day getting worse. We've had all the Al Jazeera journalists in Gaza killed. We've had, since the genocide began, over 200 journalists killed. Why do you kill journalists? Why? It's a war crime, but you kill them to prevent news from getting out. You kill them so you can commit greater and greater and greater atrocities without being called out for it. That's why you kill journalists, even if it's a war crime. You starve people. Why? To kill them off, to kill them, to prevent them from producing more people. You kill off children so that they won't grow up to become adults. You kill off women so that they won't have babies. That's what a fucking genocide is. And if you look at the statistics, this is a genocide. Amnesty International, like the criminal court, the International Criminal Court, like Human Rights Watch, like all these reputable organizations, the journal, the medical journal, the Lancet, I think it's called, like so many reputable organizations, experts in genocide. An Israeli Jewish expert in genocide even called it a genocide. And he waited a long fucking time to do that. But a reputable scholar of the Jewish Holocaust called what is happening today in Gaza a genocide. And he is Jewish and Israeli. So, you know, you have so many people, professionals, experts, able to recognize what it is, yet people in this fucking industry have shown the world that they just don't fucking care, and they will make excuse after excuse after excuse to justify their shitty, disgusting behavior. And these videos, I hope, will be around forever, unless, like, you know, someone gets them taken down for whatever reason. But I hope they will be around forever, and if they're not, I'm saving all the screenshots and proof forever, because I will fucking shame these people when they need to be shamed. If they need to be shamed in the future, which I'm sure they will, because at one point in time, there will come a time where this genocide will end. There will come a time where the world will be like, what happened to the Palestinians was fucking awful, and how did we let this happen? Just like, how did they let the Holocaust happen? But with the Holocaust, you know, maybe it wasn't as widely broadcast. We're talking about the 1940s. What are we talking about right now? We're talking about 2025, where everything is fucking broadcast across Instagram, across TikTok, YouTube, every fucking where. There is no fucking excuse for having allowed this to happen. But one day people are going to be like, how did this happen? How did we let another genocide happen? And all these people like fucking Eric Lang, who are going to pretend that they were on the right side of history, I'm going to call them out and show them the receipts that no, they were fucking not on the right side of history, and they are disgusting pieces of shit. Like, that's what they are. Sorry, but that is what they are. And yeah, they need to be ashamed of themselves. And more people just keep on blocking me on Blue Sky. Oh, something really fun. I found this one website that shows you who blocked you and when. So I've been enjoying this. It's called Clear Sky. So I'm just gonna log in. Maybe I'll post a screenshot for you guys. But it's called clearsky.app. And you just type in a username for someone on Blue Sky. And then you click on, you can find out who they're blocking and who they're blocked by. So like some people I've been blocked by since Eric Lang blocked me. Some have been a surprise, and I'm like, huh, that's interesting. Like, for example, some people I don't even fucking recognize. But some people, like, for chits and giggles, like don't know them, but like, why are they blocking me? So I went to their profile on my burner account to take a look at their burner account, and they had even retweeted something about the Palestine genocide. So I'm like, okay, so you are, you know, maybe trying to raise some awareness about the genocide, but you don't like people calling out your friends for being silent about it. Like, okay, fine, whatever. Jackie Fox, the board game designer who designed Hard Rock 1977, she blocked me, though on Twitter she was following me, and I was following her on Twitter, but here she's blocked me now. Some other people I don't know. And then this one is the one that really, like, I was like, why? Like, that's strange. Panda Games Manufacturing blocked me on Blue Sky. Like, okay. So that was, at the time of shooting this video, it was done 44 hours ago. So I'm like, that's an interesting one. Like, why would Panda Games Manufacturing block me? Like, I wasn't even following them, and I have nothing to do with them. Like, I'm not a publisher. Like, I don't even care about them. Like, so that was a really weird one, but okay. Don't know who's running that social media account, but whoever they are, apparently they don't like me calling out other people in the industry, so whatever. But I'm gonna keep on doing it. Like, I don't really care. I actually started posting again on Twitter because Blue Sky, I feel like I don't even get that much engagement. So Blue Sky, I'm just reserving for calling out all the hypocrites, because all of the hypocrites have moved to Blue Sky, so that's where they are. So all the hypocrites like Eric Lang and Rodney Smith and Suzanne and Jillian and all of them, they're all on fucking Blue Sky. They don't post on Twitter anymore. So I figured I would just use Blue Sky to call them out, and yeah, just keep on calling them out, and I'll just use Twitter to talk about board games if I want to talk about board games. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing now, so whatever. And I don't, I know Twitter is owned by Elon Musk and I hate him, he's a fucking piece of shit, but whatever. At this point, I'm like, the world is so fucking screwed. Like, we already have our data, like our data is already known by so many people. Like, I feel like what's the worst that could happen with me posting on Twitter now? Like, they already know so much, right? Like, I don't know. So I'm like, I just don't even care anymore, whatever, about that kind of stuff. So yeah. So that is my rant of the week. I guess I've gone on for quite some time, so I will end it here, and I'm sure I'll have some other stuff to rant about next week. So let's move on. So this week's question of the week is not going to be about Moon Bunny, the main game that I talked about, but this one, trust me. What's another game that has this kind of a bluffing mechanism but does it in a better way, and it's fun to play with maybe really pretty artwork. So of course there's like a million bluffing games out there, right? Like Secret Hitler and so many along those lines. But I want something that has like really pretty artwork like this game has, but is actually good and accommodates more players. And it should be a bluffing game in which you are accumulating points. If you know of something like that, please let me know. And until next week, bye.